It didn't take me 30 years of budgeting and investing in the stock market to become economically independent. It was actually 7 years. And most people can do it even faster. So you can have enough recurring revenue, or what you might hear people call passive income, to cover your expenses without scrimping and sacrificing and working your guts out until you destroy your health and relationships. All the hard work, all the stress and lost sleep, the frustration and study doesn't matter if you don't understand money and the process to become economically independent. My worst years were when I was a miser. See, I was on track to be a miserable millionaire. A broke millionaire with money, but not much else. I'd been married for 17 years, 15 of the greatest years of my life. Now, the first 2 years were the worst, not because of my wife, but because of how I lived, how I viewed money, and how I was misled by scarcity. We were living in an apartment and consistently arguing over our budget. As far as I was concerned, we didn't even need to pay for the apartment. When we were getting married, her dad offered the basement rent-free. I proposed that to my wife, and she said rent-free and sex-free, by the way. Okay. So I created a budget so low that I discovered that Utah actually had some dangerous places to live. I would worry and spend hours working to cut back on the utilities bill, complaining that my wife, a teacher, was buying things for her kids in classroom that they should be paying her. Why is she wasting her money on that? I even bought her a Christmas gift one year that was a phone case. Okay, that phone case didn't exactly fit her phone because it was such a good deal when one of my buddies was cleaning out his office that I bought it. So she's like, what am I supposed to do with this? That's what a miser does. Now, ladies, I know, how lucky, right? Don't be jealous. See, I was caught in all the trappings of fear, doubt, and worry with consistent thoughts of how to save money. Fortunately, I was at this large conference in Vegas where I was getting an award in the financial industry, like Rookie of the Year or something like that. And Nancy Ogilvy was in attendance, and I had tremendous respect for her in the financial industry, and I really approached her to strike up a conversation. And I remember her saying, I'm excited for you to get to the next level and see the way people view money and wealth and life. First, I was kind of taken back. Just getting this award, but instead of getting defensive about it, I chose to just kind of engage with her and learned and asked her to give me an example. So she asked me a few questions that I went through my philosophy around saving, scrimping, and sacrificing today in order to live a better life in the future. Questions like, if money were of no concern, what would you do? And if that answer is fundamentally different, then there might be a lack of financial freedom. Or she would ask me questions about what I felt about money and why money was important to me. And was I living in the type of home that I wanted to live in? And what kind of life did I want to live in? I started telling her, well, once we've saved up $1 million, then we can talk about having a baby, right? I just had these really strict parameters, and we could live in a crappy apartment even if we don't love it because we're just saving for one day someday. See, that's when Nancy, trying to help me, said, I wonder what it's like living in the financial prison you've built around your wife. That hit me hard. So I immediately called my wife and I started apologizing, right? I actually broke down and started crying right when this session let out. And there's thousands of people walking through the hall. They're probably looking at each other going oh, he must be so proud. Look at him, he's so emotional after winning the award. I was the opposite of proud. I was like, how could I have been so confused about scarcity that I was destroying our life in the name of one day someday? See, in that moment, I had realized 3 major things that would change my life forever. Number 1, you can't shrink your way to wealth. Number 2, I realized scarcity ran my life. And number 3, I realized I actually put money over people. See, scarcity removes all the focus on value for others. It has you become so selfish, and it's the greatest liar and thief of wealth and joy. No amount of luck or saving or discipline or hard work or financial advice will save you if you're in scarcity. Scarcity is a place where you look to take more from the world than you give to it. Scarcity is a place where fear, doubt, and worry are the mantra. It's a place where it's all about competition and zero-sum game. What can I take from others without thinking about value creation? See, when people say money is the biggest reason for divorce, it's actually not true. It's scarcity. Scarcity breeds that selfishness, and it actually creates insanity. So let me break this down into 3 simple parts for you. 1, I said it once, I'm going to say it again, make sure it sinks in. No amount of luck, saving, discipline, rate of return, financial advice, or investment will get you rich and actually allow you to stay there if you're stuck in scarcity, otherwise known as the consumer condition. See, there are 2 dominant perspectives, that of the producer paradigm and that of the consumer condition. The producer paradigm is about creating more value in the world than you take. It's about ingenuity, innovation, and invention. In the producer paradigm, money is a byproduct of value. That means in the world of cause and effect, value creation is the cause and dollars are the effect. I might say it this way, dollars follow value. So if you want more money, it's about impacting more people. It's about serving others. It's about solving problems. What it comes down to is value creation. See, the consumer condition is born of scarcity, and that liar and thief is telling you to take more from the world than you give to it. It's governed by selfishness, sacrifice, and limitation. Selfishness is about survival. Sacrifice is about giving up who you are in the name of doing things only for other people, whether you get paid or not, whether you are valued or not. And that limitation is all about this belief that there's a finite pie, right? The finite pie believes in a zero-sum game. One person takes, the other person loses, right? That winner take all, where most people end up being losers. So the belief is being rich means you've done something bad in the consumer condition. Take something from someone or somehow aren't a good person. I don't know if you've had this in your family, where I've heard my family members, from even my grandma, who I adore and love, saying, oh, well, they're rich because they're a bad person, or they don't have ethics. And look, is it true that there are people that have a lot of money that are unethical? Absolutely. Is it the rule or more of the exception to the rule? Because maybe the people of greedy corporations, instead of the great small businesses and some of the amazing corporations doing life-saving, amazing things out there, get highlighted in the news, we tend to hear about the negativity. So the consumer condition has all this evidence because of the negativity spread and the way that people operate. So I think that the consumer condition and that people taking is more of an exception to the rule, that people get ahead that way, than the actual rule. See, hard work with the consumer condition, it actually equals limited results, or even worse, bankruptcy. So the first piece of this is really the paradigm: producer paradigm or consumer condition. It's your choice. Value creation moves you to the producer paradigm. Selfishness and taking moves you to the consumer condition. All right, the second piece to this is the accumulation model of wealth and money is limiting to your results at best, and it's pretty destructive at its worst. So accumulation is this: that wealth is a function of three things. How much money do you have? How much risk are you willing to take? And how long are you willing to wait? So it's money times rate times time. But you hear all the time, it takes money to make money, because that's what people say when they want your money. High risk equals high return. We hear that all the time. But risk means higher chance of loss. So a higher risk means a higher chance of loss. And this notion that the best things come to those who wait, well, as you wait, other people are going to get wealthy through value creation and something called velocity. And the reality is this accumulation philosophy of money times rate times time has been shown in America by the US Department of Labor to fail 95% of the time, meaning people are not economically independent at age 65. Getting fired up about this. I'm yelling a little bit. I'm making sure to bring some energy, because there is a different way. And the different way is velocity. So the first point is live in the producer paradigm. The second is to velocitize your money. So what does velocity mean? When we look in the economy, it's the GDP, or our gross domestic product, divided by M2, which is our money supply. Well, if we print more money, that doesn't necessarily increase our output, right, or our GDP. If we take more risk, it doesn't do it either. So we don't want to add inputs. What if we could keep input fixed and increase output? That's through velocity. So let's look at it at a personal level. What is all your output in a given year divided by your input? Well, if we tell you to add more money, yeah, that's a new input. You'll have more in the future, but at what cost? Scrimping, budgeting, and sacrificing today? If we tell you to take more risk, that's an additional input. It doesn't always equal more output. As a matter of fact, more times than not, it actually destroys your overall wealth. So we don't want you to increase risk or add more money or wait longer. That's what most people are being taught. Instead, I want you to begin with efficiency first, plugging the leaks, keeping more of what you make without cutting back. Then second, expand your means. How do you add more value? How do you solve bigger problems? How do you expose your skill sets to deliver that value in the world? Well, don't wait for it to happen. You take action. This is about keeping your money in motion. So it's about becoming a cash flow investor to velocitize rather than an accumulation investor, hoping compound interest will get you there. How do you do that? Well, you keep your money in motion with that cash flow. You look to make money on the buy, which means when you purchase something, it's cash flow positive from day one, or you can buy it at a deep discount where you can sell it for more in the future, in the near future, or it's plugging those financial leaks. So if this is something you really want to do, I'm excited because I came out with a book just recently called Budgeting Sucks. Budgeting does suck. Now, it doesn't mean you get to be reckless or irresponsible with your money. There's automation behind it. There's ways to find money and put it into your account without taking or sacrificing your lifestyle. At budgetingsucks.com, you're going to see you can grab the book for less than $3. If you want the audiobook, you can have the book and the audiobook for less than $6. So grab those resources so you can buck budgeting, instead embrace prosperity, and you can apply the producer paradigm and then also velocity in your life. Now, the third piece The third piece is I had to eliminate being a miser and start investing in myself in order to get there in 7 years. So the reason it took me 7 years and it doesn't take everyone else 7 years is I actually started enjoying luxuries because I hit my first multi-million by the time I was 27, but then that multi-million immediately started to go down in 2008, 2009, and 2010. So I now had the taste of the better life, and I was starting to get cash crunches, which prolonged my economic independence process because a luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity, at least it did for me. You know, I grew up in motels and then I figured out boutique hotels. I grew up not knowing what most foods were and eating at fast food restaurants to finding out there's much better food out there, right? So these are just a couple examples. I took a little bit longer, but I stopped investing in products and started to invest in myself, in self-discovery, in skill development, in building quality relationships, on focusing on what I could create rather than where to just send my money off to. Now, I used 5 levers, but unfortunately, I didn't know these levers when I fully started out, so I made some mistakes and had detours along the way. You can use these 5 levers, which is plug the financial leaks, number 1. This will create economic independence. 2, engineer your wealth, which is what's your monthly amount that you need to have come in to cover your basic expenses, and reverse engineer. How do you build a foundation? How do you create safety mechanisms? And then how do you grow your cash flow? Which takes me to the 3rd lever, which is accelerate investment income. Or do you already have assets that are accumulating that you can turn into cash flow today? The 4th one is to scale revenue. Whether you're an entrepreneur working inside of someone else's business, find ways to participate in the upside when you contribute to the bottom line, or whether you're an entrepreneur creating your own business and you're scaling that because you're making more money by doing the things that you do best, right? And then the 5th thing is to make it count. See, you are your greatest asset, not a stock, not a bond, not a piece of real estate, nothing like that. It's you. So how do you invest in yourself? See, the first time I made my million was real estate, hard money lending, 2 IPOs, oil and gas, cash value in my life insurance. And then I lost most of it during the recessionary times because I didn't know enough about what I was doing. I was speculating and gambling and telling everyone I was investing. These things were not part of my investor DNA. Investor DNA is your core values, your core competencies, your core drivers, and you focus there on what you know so that you can become a better investor. It was merely me throwing money at things that others were doing or selling. And because the economy was so good from 2000 to 2008, I felt awesome. It was going up all the time. It was actually more 2002 to 2007 that I had most of that growth initially, but that was temporary because I didn't know enough. I wasn't a good enough investor, I wasn't focused enough, and I didn't have those 5 levers of plugging leaks, engineering wealth, accelerating investment income, scaling revenue, and then making it count, which was investing back into myself, enjoying life along the way. So how do I get there the second time? I had to eliminate distractions. Learn to say no to more investments that aren't right for you. I then invested in myself. Sharing these experiences and lessons, I actually created books, videos, and courses just like this channel. I built a business around something I have expertise and unique skill set in, which is financial efficiency. How do you pay less tax? How do you pay less in interest? How do you stop paying for non-performing investment fees or little minuscule fees that add up to big amounts of money because you don't know 12B1 fees or legal or admin fees or even insurances where there's improper structure or duplicate coverages. I just became a financial nerd. And then it was about building relationships that challenged me and supported my growth. Advocates and amplifiers that said, I love what Garrett does, and they brought me on podcasts and webinars and speak to their groups. But what I had to do to find this, I had to give up escapisms, right? I made mistakes along the way, but most of all, I had to dedicate to a vision that mattered. So escapisms were when I was really feeling frustrated about losing money or my real estate portfolio suffering. I didn't want to confront that with my wife and tell her the failure that I had felt that I was at the moment. I didn't want to look at a lot of these details. So what did I do instead? Oh, listen to sports talk radio for extended amounts of time, watch TV, tell people how busy I was but feel lethargic. See, I just had to confront what are the things that are my escapisms, and if I actually come from them at a place of love and compassion and listening and talk to people about it rather than hide it, I could heal from it, get to the other side with more confidence and more value creation and finding the best of who I was. So it wasn't about getting a myriad of investments and getting involved in everything that came my way. It was about saying no to more things that were just distractions disguised as opportunities, and it was about leveraging the 5 levers. Recover cash, engineer wealth, accelerate investment income, scale revenue, and make it count. This got my financial house in order. The right methodology, it saved me time. With the saved time, I invested in masterminds, workshops, personal mentors. I attended specialty events on writing, speaking, and other forms of critical communication to build Wealth Factory. and it was about developing leadership skills too. It didn't take me 30 years of budgeting and investing in the stock market to become economically independent. It was 7 years, and most people can do it even faster. You have enough recurring revenue passive income to cover your expenses without scrimping, sacrificing, and working your guts out. That's going to get economic independence. It'll help you improve your health. It'll help you have better relationships. Apply the 5 levers and use these 3 simple steps that I just shared to wealth creation so you can achieve incredible wealth in no time. Now, you have the knowledge to transform your thoughts into profits and build the life you love. If you're looking for more on this topic, check out my video on the Rockefeller method. You'll learn techniques for keeping more of what you make and how to pass on generational wealth regardless of where you started from. I was from a small coal mining town, $50 a month at age 19, actually 18, $70 a month I made a mistake with, and then corrected it to $50 a month when I was 19 to get to this point. Look, I want to share my journey, my mistakes, what things worked as well, and narrow it down so that you have a simple framework and path. It's not always easy to get started, but take action in improving your life, investing in yourself, getting rid of the consumer condition. You now know the 5 levers. Watch some more videos, and just know this. Know that you're loved, and you can see that video if you click up here. I'll see you there.